If you ever feel like you're on the Price is Right when pricing your web design proposals, just trying to guess the highest number that they'll say yes to without going over, I've got just the thing for you. Go to webdesigneracademy.com/proposal to get a free training where I break down the 5 subtle proposal mistakes even experienced web designers make that have them leaving literally thousands of dollars on the table, and find out what to do differently so that you can charge 2 to 3 times more for work you're already doing. To get your hands on that free training, just go to webdesigneracademy.com/proposal, enter your name and email address, and I'll send you all the details. That's webdesigneracademy.com/proposal. Welcome to the Profitable Web Designer Podcast, the place where women web designers come to raise their prices, book higher paying projects, and run their web design businesses without overwhelm and burnout. I'm your host, Shannon Mattern, pricing strategist and founder of the Web Designer Academy, where you're just one proposal away from the money you truly deserve to be making. And I'm here to help you build a web design business that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. So let's go ahead and dive into this week's episode. Welcome back to the Profitable Web Designer Podcast. And in this week's episode is a replay of a live public Q&A session that I hosted back in May of 2026, where I answer real questions from web designers at every stage of business. Questions about getting clients without social media, handling scope creep, transitioning clients to retainers, dealing with overwhelming AI era anxiety, and how to rebuild confidence and a client pipeline after a 3-year break from business. So this episode is packed with very specific, actionable strategies and honest, encouraging coaching that you can put to work immediately, no matter where you are in your web design business journey. So let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our live Q&A session for Thursday, May 7th. Leanne, good to see you. I saw your name pop up because I thought it said Lisa Frank, which reminded me of middle school and butterflies and school supplies and stickers. So that was
very cute.
Fun little memory. And I was like, nope, that's not Lisa Frank. So good. Good to see you.
Thank you.
So we'll get everyone in the room and then we're going to dive in to your questions. The way that this call works is I have a list of pre-submitted questions from our audience, and I'm going to answer as many of those questions as I can during our time together. I see we have some of our Web Designer Academy students here, some of our Next Level Mastermind members here. So good to see you guys. And so I'm going to answer all of the pre-submitted questions first. And then if we have time left, we can take questions from the chat. So go ahead and find the chat, say hello, share where you're listening from. You can tell us what you do and how long you've been doing it. And I'm going to pull up my list of questions. So I should probably pull up the participant panel so I can let more people in the room. And then we will get started so I can get those questions answered. There we go. All right. So as everyone is making their way into the room, this is being recorded, by the way, for the Profitable Web Designer Podcast. So if you're here live or you're listening on the replay, this will be shared publicly. So I just want to let you know, though, that your questions are a gift. There are no stupid questions. If you're just here to listen, that's cool, but also take this time to get a question answered. And so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Shannon Mattern, and I work with women web designers to help them stop undercharging, over-delivering, and overworking, and help them run more profitable and sustainable web design businesses. But web design businesses that feel as good on the outside or feels good on the inside as they look on the outside. So a lot of times I'll have women apply for the Web Designer Academy and their websites are gorgeous. Everything looks on point. And then they're telling me but I'm dying on the inside. And so that's not what we want for you. We want your web design business to feel as good on the inside as it does on the outside. And the women that come to work with us are brilliant. They've gotten really far in business on their own, but there are things that just aren't working for them anymore. And with all of the different strategies and advice that's out there online with how to fix it, they can find themselves really overwhelmed and stuck. So I work with women web designers in 3 different ways. The first is our Web Designer Academy program. It's our flagship program. And it's perfect for you if you've been in business for at least a year, you've worked with clients, and you feel like things are all over the place. You're not confident in your pricing. Maybe you're undercharging, over delivering, overworking. You feel like your clients are running the show. We help you fix all of that. And it's a year-long group coaching program that helps you package, price, position, and sell projects at higher prices than you ever thought possible. We've had students use our strategies to triple their prices for web design for the same thing, like not adding more stuff, not getting better at design, but just talking differently about how they do what they do and putting different decisions in front of their clients and really just changing the whole conversation, designing different decisions for them. And so it's a year-long program because we're by your side for an entire year life cycle of your business through the ups and the downs, the economic shifts, the life stuff, the difficult client situations, existential crises where you're like, I don't even know if I want to be doing this anymore. The good times and the bad. Like, we show you how to get through all of it and run a business through all of it. So if you want to see what it's like inside that program, you can go to webdesigneracademy.com/tour and request to come to one of our actual coaching calls with our actual students this Tuesday, May 12th at 3 p.m. and meet the other women in the program and learn more about how we can support you to reach your goals. And then if you're at a more advanced stage of business, but you're like really hustling and burnout, our next level mastermind is perfect for you. It helps you grow from what you've already built instead of trying to apply one size fits all strategies to your business. And it really helps you start making really personal strategic shifts to break through to your next level of income or freedom or whatever your next level is, alongside other very ambitious, driven women web designers going after their next level. And then I also work with women privately, one-on-one inside of my 90-day shift coaching program. And that's perfect for you if you want a laser focused growth plan created specifically for you. No guesswork. You're not trying to apply different strategies to you. You don't want to be part of a group. You just want to work together with me for 90 days to reach a big goal in your business. And the women that have done that have just made quantum leaps in their business. And so I just wanted to tell you about those ways that we can work together in case, after you have experienced today's Q&A session and the type of support that you can get way more access to inside of our program, it feels like maybe this is what you've been missing to get to your next level. So I just wanted to share all of that with you. And I'm going to pop some links into the chat. So that's what I wanted to share with you while everyone's getting in the room. So now I want to switch gears and dive into our Q&A session. So feel free to find the chat, say hi. Leanne's listening from New Jersey. Her studio is called Simple Rabbit, and they just niched down to private pay women's wellness practitioners. So good. Welcome, Leanne. Good to have you. So yeah, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and dive in to questions, and I'm going to answer as many as I can during the next 50 minutes that we have together. So if you didn't pre-submit and you want to get a question answered, you can go ahead and put it in the chat, but I've got so many good ones to get to today. So our first one is from Hedera. Hi, Hedera. I see that you're here today. And you said, I'm currently starting out as a website designer. I previously ran a candle brand, so I've been leveraging that experience and network to position myself as a Shopify designer for e-commerce brands. I've also invested in a course to deepen my Shopify skills, as it's more technical than platforms like Squarespace. And then you asked a few questions, and I was like, if I could only answer one question today, what would that be? And you said that it is your first question that you asked. Your first question was about networking. And you said, if you had to pick the one that's most important to you and most pertinent right now, it would be your first one about networking and getting clients. You said, I've been attending in-person networking events locally and pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I've had great conversations, but most people I meet are other service providers rather than e-commerce founders, which is my target market. I'm unsure how to naturally transition those new relationships into client opportunities without it feeling forced, especially since they're not my exact niche. It feels a bit odd to me to ask for clients of them immediately after our first meeting, but I don't know how to bring that up eventually. Should I still be trying to convert these relationships or focus more strictly on my target audience? So, have any of you ever felt that way too, where you're like, I'm meeting people, but they're not my ideal client and I don't know what I'm supposed to do from here? You can just drop a one in the chat if that's you. Leon's like, all the time. Yes. And so you asked a few other questions, Hedera, and I know I said that I was going to only answer one of them, but I saw a little bit of a common thread in a couple of them where you were like asking like, what's the best way to convert from this? And so one of the things that I would invite you, and you're here, so we can chat through this. Do you want to chat through it? You can unmute. Let's talk.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to.
Amazing. I love it. So do you have anything you want to add about the networking before we kind of chat through it?
I think you got it on the spot. I'm happy meeting people and having conversations, and then I get them connected on LinkedIn afterwards. But I'm like a bit like, okay, what now? Because I'm like, how do you go from meeting them? And then I understand they might not be in my niche, but they might know people that are in my niche. Then I don't know how to naturally move to that conversation without it feeling icky, like I'm using them or something. You know what I mean? It just feels more forced and natural.
Do you feel like you're using people? I mean, I think that's the part where it's like, where's this using people ickiness feeling coming from?
Yeah, I think it just feels like you just met someone, and maybe it's from me being like quite independent most of the times, but I just felt a bit icky about like, oh, I just met them and then I asked them for something straight up. I don't know. It just feels like, oh, is this what they just wanted me from the whole time? Like they're not actually trying to actually make a relationship with me. They just asked me a favor straight up. You know what I mean? So I thought, so I'm fine with taking the long route with them. I just don't know how to eventually transition into that.
For sure. And these are networking events that you're meeting people at, where everybody that's there is looking to exchange value with each other.
Yeah, I do think these business owners are used to the whole networking thing. The one that I was at recently, it wasn't necessarily networking as per se. It is like a networking society, but it was like a workshop about something that we were all into. So yeah, it's a little bit different. But
my strategy for when I meet people and I have an ask, which I think you absolutely can, and I would invite you to say, hey, it was lovely to meet you. This is who I'm looking for. Do you know anyone who? But I think one step before that would be for you to reach out and say, hey, it was lovely to meet you. What could I help you with most right now in your business? What's one thing that could help you? And if they're like, oh, I'm looking to meet such and such, or is there some kind of value that doesn't have to be like completely related to Shopify? Is there an example of someone that you met that you'd like to follow up with?
So, for example, I was at this workshop about how to use LinkedIn for your business. And the people that sat with me, there was a woman I was next to, and she runs a business on like doing presentations about equality and diversity and things like that. So I was thinking in my head, like, oh, her website would be really fun. She was quite colorful as well, like the way she was dressed. I was like, oh, it could be really easy to make a website from that. but I wouldn't know how to approach her without it coming off like, oh, here's another sales pitch sort of thing.
A give is always a great way. So if you are thinking, oh, I might actually want to work with her, even though she's not Shopify, there's two ways you could go about this. One way is if you want to work with the person, you could say, it was so lovely to meet you. I don't know if you recall, but I'm a web designer. Would you be interested in me just doing a little review of your site and sharing a few ideas of things that could like help you?
Yeah.
And she could be like, no, I'm not interested. Or yeah, let's do that. Cool. So if she is like, yes, then you do it. And then you just ask if she's interested in taking the next step. You could say, I'd love to work with you on this. If you're interested, would you like to set up a consultation call to talk about that? She could be like, nope, that's good. I'm not interested. Cool. But maybe she's like, yeah, actually, you're awesome. I'd love to talk to you more about that. You're just asking for permission to take the next step, but you're starting from value. So you're not like, oh, hey, it was really nice to meet you. Do you want to hop on a discovery call about me building a website for you? We're taking 2 steps back. We're like, would you be interested in me sharing some valuable ideas with you? And then if she's open to that, then it's like, do you want to talk about how I could help you implement that? Does that feel like icky to you at all?
I think that makes more sense, like just taking the sort of baby step towards it. And it's like you said, it's asking for permission. It's not like, oh, I'm enforcing myself on you. I'm just simply asking.
And you're being genuine because you just said to me, she was really colorful. What she do is cool. What she does is really cool. And I would love to work with her. You could say that exact thing in your email.
Yeah.
To her in your LinkedIn message or whatever. And you don't have to even say like, I'd love to work with you. You could just say, I'm curious if you're open to me sharing some ideas I had about your website with you, and see where it goes. It might not go anywhere. She might not be interested. You could end it with, amazing. If you meet anybody that needs a website, I'm always here and I'm happy to hop on a call and talk to them. The other thing that you could do to just add value to people in your network first is like, can you think of one person who needs to meet this woman in your network? And just be like, hey, it was so lovely to meet you. I know this other person. I'd love to introduce you. Would you like me to connect you with them?
Yeah.
And just connect people, add value. And then once you've done that, you can follow up later and be like, hey, I was thinking about you. Would you like to move the next step forward?
Yeah.
So we teach authentic, real person outreach connection, like creative ways to move people forward. And I think you would probably feel better about being like, do you know any e-commerce people? I've got a couple of spots open for projects this summer. And I'm curious if you know anyone who's been looking for someone to help them with their e-commerce website.
Yeah.
After you've nurtured that relationship a little bit in a way that's added value.
Yeah. When you were saying like adding value to them, for example, with this woman, she works in diversity and inclusion. It's such an interesting topic. Would something be like, oh, hey, I was just reading this article about diversity and inclusion. Is this any interest to you? And just having like geeking out about the topic, would that be also a similar thing to do first?
For sure. Or if she's ever written anything, sharing it. Like liking, commenting, sharing. I sent the article you wrote about this to my friend who's also interested in the topic. I saw this and I thought of you. I saw this conference. Yeah, absolutely. We have scripts for all of this that we do 5-minute marketing every week on our call. And we're like, what's a way that you can just connect with people that feels good to you, that keeps you top of mind? And then you are going to strategically ask for what you need typically what people will do would be like, how can I return the favor? And you don't even have to ask, but we teach you how to ask too, because that's something we have to get over. Making the first move, being willing to just ask. But there's gold in your network, and just not shying away because you're afraid of feeling pushy or sleazy or salesy, or where you're like, I'm just using them to get to the next person. Anybody in any kind of networking is there hoping for magic and synchronicity to happen.
Yeah.
And you could be that magic and synchronicity for someone else. And if you think of it like that, then it's not like, oh, I'm just trying to get stuff from people. Like if you focus on adding value, but also equally being willing to ask for what you need, you would be shocked at what will happen and what opportunities will come your way. So don't try. So the word that I kept seeing in your stuff was convert.
Yeah.
And that word has a lot of pressure attached to it, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I think if you just don't focus on convert and focus on connect, the conversions will happen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Such a good question. Thank you for asking it. And if I have time, we'll come back to your other questions.
Yeah, it was a great answer. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right. So next up, we have Chantel, who said, I struggle with creating a simple website for clients. As with many clients, once we get into an exploration call, the website ends up being more complex, and I end up taking the cost hit with it. Websites are an obvious next step for my clients, and I want to offer them, but at the moment they feel too cumbersome to offer the quality I want to offer with them. Any advice on how to make this process easier for myself would be much appreciated. So, hello, all you replay watchers. Thank you for being here and watching this. Chantel, you don't have to take the hit if a project becomes more complex once you get into it. A lot of times, and if you've ever felt this way, drop a 2 in the chat. A lot of times we think, I should have known better. I should have seen this coming. I should have figured this out. It's my fault because I didn't ask the right questions. So there are some process things that we teach inside of the Web Designer Academy that you can absolutely implement to help prevent that. But we can't always head off every time we get into something and we realize like, oh, you didn't communicate all of this to me, or I didn't understand this, or this is more than I thought it was. When you get to the point where you realize something ends up being more complex, you can say it. We always say this in the Web Designer Academy, say it like the sky is blue. Like, here's what this is going to involve. It's more complex than I originally thought, than we originally discussed. Here are some options for how we can address this. And none of those options is you working for free to do it. So what we want to do is give our clients choices for how they would like to move forward and let them decide. And what those choices are just depends on what the project is and what you found. But you always have the right to say, this is going to be more complex than what I thought or what we discussed, or I now have new information that I didn't have before, or whatever it is. And then you're like, so here are your options for moving forward. And you put options in front of them that you're okay with whatever option they choose. And those are the kinds of things that we discuss inside of the Web Designer Academy. When I said like our program is a year-long program, it's not because it takes you a year to implement our strategies. Our students come in. We just had someone come in March, and 1 week later is like, I just sold my highest price package ever, because you can implement our strategies with your proposals and pricing that quickly. But it's like how other humans behave in the world and what we think we're responsible for, and all of those things that we just never question, and we don't have anybody to ask, which I didn't I never had anybody to ask. I just operated like I would as if my client was my boss. Oh, well, if my boss is telling me to do something, I better just do it because I don't want to disappoint them and lose my job. Right. So we're the place that you can go every single week to ask as you are running the business and running into these things. So Chantel said, websites are an obvious next step for my clients. I want to offer them, but at the moment they feel too cumbersome to offer the quality I want to offer. You get to price appropriately, Chantel, and that's what we can help you do. You're not charging enough. So any advice on how to make this process easier? Absolutely. Our process is free consultation, paid discovery, package matrix. You have a free consultation with the client to find out their needs in general. And then you offer what we call the paid discovery step, where you say, here are options for moving forward. The first is that we're going to do strategy first. I'm going to ask you all the questions. We're going to figure out exactly what we need to build. And from there, I'm going to give you options for implementing the strategy that we come up with. The strategy is make up a number, $1,000. And if you choose to move forward with implementation, we'll credit what you paid for the strategy to your project. How would you like to move forward? Right. And so we give you the whole process for doing that. But that way, you're getting paid to do the strategy. And also, you don't run into the surprises that you've been running into that are causing you to be like, well, it was my fault. And then even if after you get into the project, something changes, we can support you through how to have those conversations. So yeah, you don't have to take the cost hit, Chantel. I want to invite you to not take the responsibility for something that you don't have to take the responsibility for. So Ellie asked, how do your students successfully transition a one-time web design client into an ongoing retainer? And what's the conversation or offer that actually makes the client say yes? So there's like a theme here that with not just your questions, but people inside the Web Designer Academy too, where you're like, if I just say the right things, if I do it right, then people will say yes. If I have the magic words, people will say yes. And you do have a lot of influence on setting up the decision and how you frame the decision. But also, we just get to give clients choices and let them decide. So you can take the pressure off of yourself for having to figure out how to make people say yes. But I followed up with Ellie because I was like, I need more context to answer this question. And so we were chatting back and forth. And I said, I'd love to have more context so I can give you the best answer. I said, what are your current challenges in transitioning clients from project to retainer? And what feedback are you getting now from your clients? So does anyone else have this challenge where you get to the end of a project and you're like, okay, now what? And then your client's like, bye. And then they come back 6 months later and they just expect you to keep doing stuff to their website as if the project never ended. Or they come out of the blue and want you to drop everything to help them, because that's something that happens with our students a lot. Yeah, Leon's like 100%. Yep. So one of the key things to do, and we teach you all of this inside of our, I think it's module 6 inside of the Web Designer Academy, with like how to run a project. How to end a project is a skill that a lot of people don't know how to do. Like how to close the door on like, okay, we are done with all of this. And then here's how to continue working with me going forward. So I asked Ellie for some more context. They said, I work with community-led businesses like NGOs, membership communities, and social startups. I don't know what NGOs are. Does anybody know what an NGO is? I'm probably going to have to Google that. But they said most of my clients are small teams with lean budgets. When it comes to retainers, I haven't landed one yet. Not because clients push back on the price, but because they genuinely don't see an ongoing need. Their website is one tool among many to bring in leads, social media, email, word of mouth. And once it's live, it feels quote unquote done to them. Thank you, Janet. She said non-governmental organizations. I'm just going to assume that's what it is. So my challenge isn't really about the retainer structure or pricing. It's about whether there's a real ongoing need I'm not seeing, or whether I need to create perceived value that isn't obvious to them yet. So for clients who don't naturally see the need for ongoing support, how do your Web Designer Academy students uncover or create that need and then get the client to say yes? We don't ever teach any strategies that get the client to say yes. I know that probably sounds like I shouldn't be marketing the fact that we don't have high pressure strategies that get our clients to say yes or get them to convert. But we do have strategies that help your clients make the decision to continue working with you because you've established the value and made yourself indispensable in a not codependent way. So I'm glad I asked because I would have had a different answer for you had I not gotten more context from you for this question. But that paid discovery step that I just talked about before, that's where you get to dig deep with clients into strategy and where you're like, oh, okay, so this part of the project is actual web design project. But these things ongoing are things that I'm not going to include in this project, but I'm going to offer to them at the end of the project for ongoing services. So I'm never going to wait on a client to naturally see the need for anything. I'm going to assume that they just don't know what they don't know, that I have the insight to allow them to, sorry, I was just like, oh, someone was in the waiting room. It distracted me. And it's E. And I don't know if this is Ellie, but I'm answering your question if it is. So yeah, I'm just never going to assume that anyone's going to see the need for me to do anything naturally. I'm just going to assume that they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what's available to them. They don't know why it's valuable. I'm going to ask for permission to have those conversations with them, but I'm going to be planting seeds the whole way. And the first place that you plant seeds is in that paid discovery step. So free consultation, paid discovery, make an offer to work with you off of the end of paid discovery. But in that discovery step, when you're building out the whole strategy, you can build out the strategy for the one-time project, but then also outline, and here are the things that get to happen ongoing. And then you explain, I'm going to make an offer. I'm going to give you options for the one-time project. And then that project's going to end. And then here are options for working together going forward in a retainer capacity to implement these things that we identified in this strategy. And the whole time, I'm just going to assume that, of course, by the time they get to the end of the project, they're going to want to continue working with me. So having a clear end to your project where you're like, this is concluded is critical. And then being like, and here's how we can continue working together going forward. And here are your options for that. And making that offer. And also like giving them a timeline to decide. This isn't an open-ended decision. Those are the ways that you can compel a decision, incentivize the decision, plant seeds that there even needs to be a decision, and just never assume that they're going to come up with that idea on their own. I think that's one of the things that I was talking to someone in the Next Level Mastermind yesterday, and she was just like, well, I figure they'll just ask me if they want the thing. And I'm like, you get to ask them if they want the thing that you're doing instead of waiting on them to ask you. As women, we're not socialized to make the first move and ask. We're socialized to wait to be chosen. And I don't want you guys to continue to wait to be chosen. And we can teach you how to ask in a way that feels like safe to your nervous system. Because I also don't want you to do things that don't feel good to you, because why are you running your own business if you can't do it in a way that feels good to you? So yeah. Next question is from, that was a good question, Ellie. So thank you. The next question is from Anna. Anna says, last fall, I took on a website maintenance client who mentioned they were interested in redesigning their site soon. We eventually had a consultation call and I sent a way underpriced quote for $700 for a website refresh. The client was very distracted during the call. I was all up in her wallet. The face melting emoji. Well, she did not go through with it then. I followed up again in January after learning that her page builder, Divi, will be going to 4 to 5 in about a year. Got crickets. Then last week, congrats on following up, by the way. Then last week, she emailed me asking what pricing, quote unquote, pricing for redoing the website and what my options are. I really think the best thing now is to move away from Divi, mainly because I'm not really familiar with it and I would have to outsource for major changes or spend extra time figuring out how to do things. I ended up responding that we needed to have another call because things have changed. But again, it's been a few days. And as of submitting this question, I haven't heard back from her just to get on a call. I feel like I'm being hard to work with by insisting on another meeting and not just restating the price that I quoted previously. Oh, Anna, this one is good. Tell me, do you want to talk it through? I saw you come on camera. So if you don't have to. No is a fine answer. I can just talk to you.
Yeah, I can talk it through. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yes.
I did hear back from her yesterday. So we have a call scheduled for 2 weeks from now. So, but I went in circles trying to decide if I should, because I really think that would serve her best, is really make sure I know what she needs, because I did not get a great idea of what she wanted, what her vision was for her business going forward and for the site on that call back in the fall. So
I love that you're coming at it from, you really want to make sure you serve her best. But also you said you feel like you're being hard to work with by insisting on another call. You're not being hard to work with. This is your business. You get to decide what the rules are. And if you don't have clarity, or you think that you need to put a speed bump in the process, or you think, oh, actually, I think you already know you gave her way too low of a price back then, and you want to push the reset button, you absolutely can by having another conversation. And so you are not being hard to work with. You get to make all the rules, Anna. And that's one of the biggest opportunities, I would say, for you. We don't know each other well enough yet for me to make like wide sweeping judgments, not judgments, but assumptions. But kind of how we do anything is how we do everything. And I would imagine maybe you might do a lot of things to make it easy to work with you that come at your own expense. Would that be a fair statement?
yeah, that's probably accurate.
Okay. You are allowed to structure your projects and your process to meet your needs. And if a client doesn't want to adapt to that, there's always more clients on the way. There truly are. So I can tell your heart is like, you have a big heart because you're like, this is really in her best interest to have this call. It's also in your best interest, Anna, and it's okay for it to be both and. And I just want to encourage you to set up the process, allow her to be an adult and choose whether or not she's going to follow the process. And if she doesn't follow the process, it's okay. You don't have to change your process to meet her, what sounds like a little bit of a chaotic life. Because like Carly said, when do those become client red flags? Anybody gets to decide what their own red flags are. But I always am like, I'm going to build my process for me and how I want to run my business and what works best for me. And I'm going to invite you to come through my process. And if you can't come through my process, then we're probably not a good fit to work together. And it's okay. So did that help?
It does help. Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that comes to mind, just think about red flag clients, is like this came as like a referral from a very good friend. And it's like, I think I don't want to disappoint my friend by this not working out, sort of thing.
So normal, so common. And it's okay to tell me more about like why you think your friend would be disappointed if this didn't work out.
I don't know, like this friend is also like a business buddy. We talk often, and I don't think she's even close to this person very much. Like they live on opposite sides of the country and all, but yeah, it's just like.
Would you want your business buddy to take on a bad fit client?
No.
For her business? No. She probably doesn't want you to take on a bad fit client either. I'm guessing. I don't know. So one of the hardest lessons I had to learn was to not run my business to make other people happy. It was so hard, Anna. I want everybody to like me. I don't ever want anybody to be mad at me. And that's why all of our strategies are designed the way that they are and why our programs for women web designers, because many of us have that thing. And so where I'm like, I'm just going to give you choices and let you decide. And you deciding to not move forward is an okay answer with me. I'm going to empower you to make your own choices. I'm not going to be like, it sets boundaries, but in a different way than you've ever been told to set boundaries before. So you took a bold first step by inviting her to get on another call. And you don't have to say $700 again. And in fact, I wouldn't. I think that price is too low. And you can say, thanks for sharing all of this new information with me. I'm going to put together a new price. And you can decide if you want to move forward with that or not. And just let her decide. And if she's like, it is way too expensive, that's okay. So yeah, all of our strategies are designed for choice. So is there anything else I can help you with?
I think that's all.
Okay, you got this.
Thank you for answering that question.
You're very welcome.
And all the other stuff you do. I listen to your podcast and just appreciate all the other stuff you do. So it's been very helpful for me.
I love hearing from podcast listeners because thank you for sharing that. Because I'm like, downloads, are these actual real people? So I love when I meet the actual real people. So thank you for sharing that. Amazing. All right. And like I said, your questions are a gift. That question, Anna, is going to help lots of other people. So thank you for asking that for the room. Carly said, I've been through the same scenario and it was a terrible fit client. The friendship survived. Look, the friendship survived, Anna, but the project was awful and I got so taken advantage of. Yeah, that's the stuff we help you guys with in the Web Designer Academy. I know that I lead with packages, pricing, consultations, systems, processes, but that's the real stuff. That is the real stuff that there's nobody else out there helping with. They want to just help you like, oh, my strategy is going to prevent that from ever happening. Humans are humans. We can't prevent every single thing from happening. And it's so helpful to have a place where you can go to get help with this stuff. Ben says, I am a brand designer based in Manchester. I've been building my studio, Ben Flay Designs, but I'm realizing social media isn't the right fit for how I work or who I want to reach. I saw your work on marketing strategies that don't rely on constant posting and algorithm chasing. I'm curious how you'd approach building visibility and attracting clients, film directors, authors, and small businesses without being tied to Instagram or TikTok. Such a good question, Ben. Thank you for asking that for the room. Everybody wants to know the answer to this. So if I'm wanting to connect with film directors, I'm going to just do film directors and authors to start, because I think that's like the strategy that I'm going to share is like going to be really helpful for that. I would find out what are the rooms that film directors are getting together in to connect and collaborate and be in community with each other. Where are the rooms where authors, and maybe you even go to a subset of authors, maybe it's nonfiction, maybe it's authors who are like writing books because they want to get on podcasts and speak on stages or whatever, where are those people going to be in community with each other? Who are the people that are creating communities for these people? And how can you meet that person and add value to that person? And ask Claude or ChatGPT or whatever AI you use, like, what are the networking groups or the communities or the courses or the programs or the coaches for film directors? And then reach out and connect and introduce yourself and use some of the strategies I talked to Hedera about before to add value to those people, to build relationships. Pitch yourself for podcasts that are speaking to those industries and just talk to them about challenges that you see authors and film directors experiencing in the industry that what you do solves for them. And so you don't have to create content on social media and wait to be found. You can go directly to the people who've already built the community that you want to be a part of. The other strategy that we teach, and this is one that people in our next level mastermind seem to be more ready for, but it's not dependent on level of business, but we call it building your own table. So if you're like, where's the room? What's the table that all the film directors are sitting at? And how can I get my seat at the table? Well, what about if you just build your own table instead and you invite the people that you want to be at the table to the table? So what kind of group or community or something can you start and then reach out to the people that you want to be connected with and invite them to that table and add value to them? So it's really about, again, making the first move, adding value, being willing to ask, being passionately detached from the outcome, being willing to have people ignore you, tell you no, say weird things to you. Like we've had some, like I've had someone be like, unsubscribe. I'm like, this was like an actual real message from me to you, but noted, got it, won't reach out again. And not making that mean that you're doing it wrong or bad, or that your reputation is going to be ruined, because you know you're a person of integrity who can really help the people that you want to help. So that is the marketing strategy that I have used since the day I started my business back in late 2014, early 2015. I had no idea what I was doing. So I'm like, well, my ideal client is a woman starting her own business. And so I found all the people online who were teaching women how to start their own business. And I reached out and I was like, I would love to interview you for a series I'm calling Women to Watch. And so I sent them questions to answer. They answered it. I created like a beautiful blog post and like social media assets. I wrote tweets for them. I wrote Facebook posts for them. One of the questions I asked was, who else do you learn from in the industry or whatever? And then when I finished it, I sent it to them with an email that they could send to their community. I was like, here's a link to your post. It came out great. Thank you so much for your time. Here's everything that you need to share this with their audience. I try to make them look really good, link to all of their stuff. And then I would post it on social media. And I don't know, the algorithms might be different these days, but I would like tag the people that they mentioned that were their mentors and people that they looked up to. And then those people would like reshare it. And that's how I got started marketing my business, by adding value to the people that I wanted to build a relationship with. And some of those people I still collaborate with today, 10 years later, because I was willing to reach out and make the first move. And I wasn't trying to market myself. I was adding value to them. And I do the same thing with my podcast today. My podcast is all about building relationships with people who serve my audience in a different kind of way. So great question, Ben. Ariana says, I've been dealing with a lot of overwhelm in my business, unsure of if I even want to continue on. The rapidly changing world of AI, conversion strategies, accessibility, and so many other things makes me feel like I can't keep up with it all and honestly help my clients. I feel as though I owe it to my clients to keep up with it all. And if I don't, I'm failing them. Oh, Ariana, thank you for sharing this. That's heavy stuff. I don't know how to incrementally learn and then calmly implement in my business. Can anybody relate to that? I've heard that a lot lately, that things seem to be changing so fast that you're questioning, like, is this even what I want to keep doing? Ariana, you don't have to keep up with it all. You don't have to keep up with it all. I know that sounds like probably like, what do you mean I don't have to keep up with it all? What I mean is that A, you can't keep up with it all. You don't have to keep up with it all. And your value does not come from keeping up with it all. When we think we have to sell ourselves and sell our skills and come through the door already knowing everything, and that's the only way that we add value to our clients, no wonder you would feel so much pressure and overwhelm, because when it's absolutely impossible to keep up with those things, your job as the web designer, as the strategist, is to not market yourself and not know everything ahead of time. It's to connect with your clients, learn about them, find out what they need, and figure out what you need to figure out to deliver for that client on that day in that situation. You get to learn as you go. You get to build the plane as it flies, so to speak. Do you believe you can figure out how to do the things that you need to figure out how to do? I looked at your website, Ariana, before, like when I saw this question come through, and clearly you're not new. You figured out how to figure out everything that you figured out up until now. So you know how to figure things out. Your job is to figure out what you need to figure out and then fill in the gaps, bring in an expert, outsource whatever you need to do, learn it yourself. Those are all options. Your clients don't need you to know everything ahead of time. They need you to know that you can figure it out for them and deliver the end result that they want. So I want you to take the pressure off of yourself. You do not have to keep up with all the things and learn all the things. When you say you feel as though you owe it to your clients to keep up and that you're failing them if you're not, I just want you to know the fact that you even care means you're not failing them. There are so many people who really don't give a crap, who are selling things to people, charging a lot more. And so what I would invite you to do is, one, like, this is why Web Designer Academy exists, to support people through stuff like that. I want to invite all of you to request to come to the live strategy call on Tuesday so you can see what it's like in the room. I'm going to pop the link into the chat and see what it's like to have this support every single week. You do not have to go through it and go it alone. And for those of you listening on the replay, that's webdesigneracademy.com/tour, TOUR. We'll get you there. If you're listening to this on the Profitable Web Designer podcast, come to the next live strategy call that we're doing. If it's past the date that I said in this, you do not have to figure all of this stuff out on your own. Please let us help you. Come check that out. See what it's like to have support. We don't have to believe everything we think. You think I owe it to my clients to keep up with it all, and if I don't, I'm failing them. That is not true. And unless you ask the question and you verbalize that out loud, you're just going to keep believing these things that are keeping you feeling terrible about your business. And so I want to invite you for your next project to be like, okay, well, what do I need to know for this project? And what are my gaps? And you don't need to know everything for every project. And you're super smart and you can figure it out as you go. If you're thinking that you can't, then we have some fundamental shifts to make in what you think you're selling to release you from that pressure and that responsibility. So great questions. I think there was one more in the chat from someone that was here live. I want to make sure I answer that. So Carly said, I've moved and lost my network after taking 3 years off from my business. Now I'm trying to rebuild it, but it's like starting from scratch and so frustrating since I'm also quite introverted and having to push myself to even go find a local meetup. Carly, I would invite you to reach out to your old network, reactivate your old network. You don't have to start a brand new network, even if you've moved. I don't know exactly who you work with, but I would imagine you can work with anyone, anywhere. We can talk through it if you want. I can stay on for a couple more minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I gave up on my business 3 years ago because I was overwhelmed and AI was coming, and I really, really wish I hadn't done that now at this point. But we did move, and I did reach out to my old network via email and kind of announced it on my personal social media. And then I started an Instagram and a Facebook business pages. But I had one bite that I got a client from, a past client that I'm working on right now. But just all this time has got, like, it's been the better part of a year now, and that's all I've had.
Okay.
For as far as generating new interest and new leads.
Yeah. So when you reach out to people, are you just letting them know that you're available? Tell me what the outreach looks like or the reconnection looks like. Because it could just be like tweaks to how you're saying things, or I don't know. So tell me more.
Yeah, it was a very soft outreach. Like, I just sent an email to each person I had worked with in the past and said, hey, I'm restarting my business and I'm here if you need anything.
Okay.
Kind of thing. I didn't know what to say. So.
Yeah. No, that's great though. Cause it's like, okay, so you let them know. I think, would you be open to doing a more direct like ask?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I think like when you work with a client, do you have any, or just, I'm trying to think, one of the strategies that we teach inside the Web Designer Academy is just offering a mini site audit. And I don't know exactly what you do or who you work with or how you could do that. But actually, let me give you a freebie that we have on our site. Hang on, let me find it. This actually will walk you through the exact process. But you reach out and you offer to do a little website audit that will get clients with website strategy sessions. That's what it is.
How would you recommend, like, so the ones that I've reached out to already and got no response from, what would you recommend to reach out to them again with the website audit? How would I pose that, since they didn't reply to the first email?
I would find the last email that I sent, even if it was from 9 months ago, and I would just put the ask right above that to be like, hey, thinking about you. I have this new thing that I'm offering, these website strategy sessions. There's an exact script in the freebie, Carly. So I'm paraphrasing here, but if you get it, you'll get the exact script. And I was thinking about you. I have this new thing that I'm offering where I'll review your website and share a couple of opportunities that I see for you to improve it. And it's not like that. It's way not like critical, or it doesn't say improvements, but it does say like, I'll give you some ideas for changes you could make to better reach your goals or something. I never want to be like critical or imply that someone's needs to improve, right? Because they might really like what's going on and they might not really need any improvements.
Sorry to interject right there, but some of them, their old websites were actually designed by me.
Okay, perfect.
5 or 6 years ago, and they've just never updated.
Yeah. So much has changed in the past 5 or 6 years, right? So that's the perfect end to be like, so much has changed in the past 5 or 6 years. Would you be interested in me taking a look at what we built back then and seeing what changes might need to be made? Okay. And you're literally asking the question, would you be interested in whatever the thing, ? And you're ending the communication with a yes or no question with a question mark. It's not, let me know if you might need this thing, period. It's, would you be interested in this thing, ? Okay. And let me know afterwards, or no way to like, you don't want to soften it or water it. It's just like it ends with a yes or no question. That is one of the tiniest, most powerful tweaks people can make to their outreach that will actually get more people to respond with yes or no. So at least you feel like, wouldn't you rather someone just tell you no, they're not interested than ghost you altogether?
Yeah, always.
So I would absolutely follow up with all those people. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. We're just going to do it and see what happens. And then with building the new network, I feel like you sound like you have a lot of, not a lot. Do you regret quitting 3 years ago? Do you feel like you shouldn't have? Like,
I feel like I wish I had just stuck it through. My confidence took a hit and I was scared, but I wish I had stayed because I'd be so much further along now. But
I think that's the most painful thought that I would invite you to just try to not believe anymore.
Yeah. And then building. So the other thing that's happened is I've been trying, because I missed out on those 3 years, I've been trying to catch up with the technology and how everybody's designing now and what everybody's using now, and getting back into the business to establish it and get it up and running and know where I'm at, so to speak. And then I haven't really tackled the networking piece or the marketing because it's been so overwhelming setting everything back up within the last year.
Yeah. What were you
and then
before?
Feeling like I should never have quit. Like,
that, like, everything you just said, you're believing it like it's true. You're like, I missed out. I'm trying to catch up with what everybody else is doing, with what's happening now. I never should have quit. I'm behind. Like, there was a reason that you decided to quit. It's okay to like, it's like, you did not make a wrong decision. You made that decision for yourself for whatever reason you made it when you made it. But now you're telling yourself you missed out, you're behind, you need to catch up. You have this like, it's all moved on and I have to relearn everything. And I just don't think any of that's true.
So how would you reframe that?
Yeah. Tell me, I'm curious, what were you building with 3 years ago?
I started with Squarespace and then went to Webflow.
And do you still think you can build with Squarespace and Webflow?
Oh, yeah. I've been building with Squarespace now again.
Okay.
And just trying to only focus on that so that I don't have too many things, because I tend to get into too many different things and think, oh, now I need to go over here and try this. I need to try that. So I'm trying to just hone it in a little bit.
If you didn't think that you're behind, that you missed out, that the world has moved on without you, you didn't say that, but that's the thing. And you were just like, oh, I pressed the pause button for 3 years. Squarespace is still here. I still know what I knew back then. It's still, the conversion design principles still apply. Like, what hasn't changed in 3 years is design principles. They're all the same. And so what if you're not behind? What if you're exactly where you need to be? You know all the things you need to know. You don't have to catch up, and you just pick back up right where you left off with your next client. Does that feel like it couldn't possibly be true?
No, that feels like it could be very true because I'm actually about to cry. So yeah, that's great.
That's true. It's true. So yeah, I'm so glad you came to this call and that you put that in the chat.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And just go back to the old clients. If they don't say anything, it doesn't matter. It's fine. I would put my efforts on meeting new people in your current market. It's probably going to be hard. I don't want to say it's going to be hard, but you told me you're an introvert, so it's going to take some effort for you. But I think if you believed that you had every skill that you needed to have right now to go do that, it would be a lot easier, because I could see how you're like, well, I have to know everything first before I can go do that. You don't. You can go do it right now.
Okay.
And you're going to fill in the gaps and figure out, just like you did before. I can imagine when you were in the thick of it, when a new tool came out, you were like, oh, let me look at that. See if that'll help me do this thing I'm trying to do faster. It's the same. So just remember, you're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. You don't have to learn anything else. Just start talking to people.
Thank you for the reminder. That's a great way to look at it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And
All
thank you for all of your work as well. Like the last person said, I also follow your podcast and I learn a lot from you, and I'm really grateful for all of your free content and advice.
It is my pleasure and my passion. So I'm glad that it is helping. And so thank you all for being here. We went long, and my podcast producer is going to be like, really, Shannon, you're going to post a 75-minute episode? Yep, I am. So if you are listening to this on the replay and you would like to come to our open house, our next open house for the Web Designer Academy, or if you're here live, webdesigneracademy.com/tour, TOUR. If you're interested in the next level mastermind, webdesigneracademy.com/next. And if you're interested in private coaching with me, that's webdesigneracademy.com/shift. And you can book a discovery call with me to talk about, if you're not sure which program you fall into, webdesigneracademy.com/calendar, and we can chat through the best place for you. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your questions. Truly, they're a gift to everyone who's getting to hear this. And I'll see you at the next live Q&A. All right. Bye, everyone. Hey, so before you go, if you're an experienced woman web designer who's outgrown all the beginner business growth strategies, and you're looking for real support to help you make the money that you really want to be making, I'd love for you to come and check out the Web Designer Academy and see how we do things differently. Just go to webdesigneracademy.com/tour and fill out the form to schedule your program tour. You'll get to sit in on one of our live group coaching calls, meet the other women inside of the program, and afterwards, I'll share options for working together in 2026. So if you're done figuring it all out on your own and you're looking for support, I can't wait to meet you. Schedule your program tour today at webdesigneracademy.com/tour. That's webdesigneracademy.com/TOUR tour.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.